Welcome to week 9, everyone. If you feel you've done a lot of work so far, you have. Yay! You have been mapping, asking questions as you do, learning new tools, thinking spatially, and thinking critically. What's our theme for this week, Steve?
This week, we want to carefully consider data quality and ethics.
Why are ethics important in mapping?
As we hope you are learning in this course, it is never just about the mapping. It's all about the communication. And furthermore, mapping is not a completely objective activity. The data were collected by someone with a purpose. The mapping software includes some tools, but maybe not other tools. Decisions about what to include on maps and the way you map your data are all bound up in ethics. The intention of the discussion and hands-on activities this week to help you consider the choices that are involved in mapping and to encourage you to not intentionally or unintentionally mislead your audience who reads and makes decisions based on your maps.
Ethics matter in GIS because knowing that maps are powerful means of communication, you should take that responsibility as map author seriously. And number 2, knowing from our brief discussion on crowdsourcing and citizen science that everyone is now a potential map producer and no longer just a map consumer. There are more maps in existence now than ever before in history, with a wide variety of quality and purposes, some well documented, some not so. That said, maps still have this aura of authenticity. They tend to be believed. Again, take that responsibility seriously and do not intentionally or unintentionally mislead your audience. The social implications for GIS began long before Steve and I were in GIS, began to be examined 30 years ago with books such as Ground Truth. Another off-cited book on this topic is How to Lie with Maps by geographer Mark Monmonier, which examined the ways that maps are distortions, intentionally and unintentionally, of reality.
So to foster ethical skills, your readings include topics such as data quality, bad maps, and real scenarios in the workplace where ethics is key, including location privacy, copyright, and other issues that are relevant in the 21st century and will become even more important in the coming years.
Why will these issues be even more important in the future?
Well, because map data are increasingly personal, increasingly more spatially accurate, and location is increasingly in demand from app developers and developers of even non-mapping tools.
Right. I think of, Steve, an app on your phone where it asks you, do you want to share your location? That's what we're talking about here, folks. A few of the case studies that you will look at include a set of thought-provoking scenarios such as a GIS analyst is asked to exclude pertinent data from maps prepared for a public hearing, or researchers track mobile phone users' movements to derive predictive models of human mobility, or a government agency's need to recoup user fees conflicts with a public records law. A scope of work statement and established mapping procedures prevent a GIS analyst from adding wetlands to a conservation database, and many more. Each clearly presents the situation along with supportive maps and references in brief but pointed ways. You will examine and comment on these. These scenarios do arise in the workplace. They're not just something that Steve and I made up. So our focus this week on ethics is not just some theoretical, nice-to-have things in our Digital Earth course, but it has a practical focus.
You will examine a few ethics codes. Our set of ethical codes includes these ideas. First, you have to have a straightforward agenda, ensuring that the purpose of your map is evident to the map reader. It should not be deceiving or confusing, but rather transparent in its purpose. The second code, you should know your intended audience as much as you can, so you can effectively communicate through maps. The third code is to not intentionally lie with data. Do not symbolize or classify the data with the intent to deceive. The fourth code is that a map should show all relevant data as complete as possible. Do not intentionally leave things or context out that could help the reader understand the phenomenon. Again, balancing this with the guidelines about abstracting and generalizing map data.
And we hope you will find all of these themes and issues engaging, useful, and relevant. And remember to think about what's the most important thing you learned this week.
And we'll see you in the course.